Hi, I'm Tim. Join me in this video as we discuss the Volantex 3-channel Spitfire ready-to-fly RC model airplane. Let's get to it. The Spitfire was a principal fighter for the British during World War II, the only fighter to produce continuously throughout the war. 20,300 of these remarkable aircraft were built. Was well liked by the pilots, did a great job. As you can see in this current picture, there are still 70 Spitfires still airworthy. This is a Volantex Spitfire. It's a 3-channel ready-to-fly model made from very nice foam. Good paint scheme, I think, overall. What's a little bit unique about this model is that this propeller up front is just a dummy propeller. It doesn't provide any thrust. Rather, there are two propellers on the wings that provide the thrust and differential thrust to cause the airplane to turn. So it's a gyro stabilized model. It has an elevator, no rudder, no ailerons. And when you turn using the transmitter, if you go left or right, it differentiates the thrust of these two motors to have it turn. So let's do a quick unboxing of this model, and then we'll discuss more detail of the model. With these ready-to-fly models, I do like to take a look at the box because sometimes you get some information that can be of use as you're deciding to buy or build a model. The three things that are important here is for the Spitfire, it's gyro stabilized, it's EPP durable material, that's the foam, and it's pre-assembled and ready to fly. It really is ready to fly. You take it out of the box, insert the landing gear, charge the battery, and you're to go fly. Now, one thing that's a little bit odd about this box is you'll see there are 4 different airplanes pictured here. It doesn't say what airplane is inside of it. It turns out this one is a Spitfire. The only way you know that is if you look on the side with the 4 models of this series, is the Spitfire is located here. So just if you see it in the store, that's just something that might be a little bit confusing. It'd be very easy to pick up the wrong model. This is the assembled Spitfire here. You can see a couple things I want to point out is this is the landing gear. Now, our normal Spitfire has the landing gear on the wing. I get that, but on this version, it goes into the nose section. This is a compartment for the battery. I think the landing gear is a good thing to have because you don't want these props coming off if you can help it at all. So the landing gear is almost a protection from these props coming off if you land on the ground where they're still spinning. As I mentioned, this is just a dummy prop up here. What comes in the kit, you get an instruction manual. It's reasonable instruction manual of diagrams. This is a little transmitter, up, down, left, right with differential throttle, and this is the throttle right here. There's no rudder control. The stick literally doesn't move. The antenna, 2.4 gigahertz, so you don't have to worry about interference, and you have little trim buttons right here, which is a good feature. This is the charger, a 400 milliamp battery that just plugs in. The other thing I want to point out is you get some spare props, and what's a kind of nice feature, there are 2 types of props. There's a B prop and an A prop. If you mix up the props when you replace them, it's simply not going to work. You can't see it really, but there's a very faint B2 as part of the plastic printing of the prop. This one would be an A2. You just want to make sure that the right number prop is on the engine if you have to replace it, and they have a little tool here to help you replace the propeller. So the weight is about 2 ounces for this model. Overall, it's a very nice design. So what I'd like to do now is to plug in the battery, and we'll just see how the controls work. I'll show you how the gyro works, so we'll head out to the flying field for a flight. What we'll do is we'll plug in the battery, 400 milliamp battery, to the nose section. With these gyro airplanes, it's important for the plane to be stabilized for about 3 or 4 seconds before you move it around. It's just the way they're built. And it can be done either upside down or right side up. I think it's easier to do it upside down because you have access to the battery. So plug in the battery, let it sit for 3 or 4 seconds, turn on the transmitter, and then we'll do a control check and you'll see how everything works. Super important with the batteries to observe the polarity. This should be keyed so you can't put them in backwards. And there's plugged in. We'll let it set just for a second. We'll turn on the transmitter. And everything should be synced out. I'll leave the battery outside just for now. And what will happen is you can see with the rudders, with the elevator, up, down. And the other controls are throttles. And as a safety feature, you have to arm the throttle. So when you move the throttle up, nothing happens. That's a good feature to have. We're going to move it all the way to the top, back down. You'll hear some beeps, and then it'll be ready to go. So up, down, there's the beep, and everything is armed. So when we add, see, there's a throttle going there, and when we turn, you can see the differential thrust for when you turn. Note also that after the motors work, the gyros work. See how those elevators, when it goes nose down, the elevator goes up to try to make it go level. When it's nose up, the elevator is going to try to make it go down. It looks extreme the way that trim system moves, but it's actually a very well-designed gyro system. It works all in the background, so when you're flying wind gusts or whatever with the model, it just makes the model fly very smooth in the air. It's much easier to control, but it's in the background. You're still controlling altitude and turn with a transmitter. It's just a very easy thing to have working in the background, and pretty much you need it for smaller models like that. So that is a look at the model. I think we're all set to take it out to the field next time we have a good day, and we'll see how it flies out at the flying field. All right, so I'm out here with my good friend Ron. Thank you for coming. We're going to test fly the Spitfire here. Ron, being from Scotland, is an authentic pilot. So everything's all set. The plane looks good. Remember, we have the twin engines for directional control. What we'll do is we'll put in the battery, do a control check, then we'll take it up for a test flight. I'm sure it'll fly just fine. We'll do a flight control check. There's the elevators, and then we hold the wing, arm up the throttle, and we do have a good throttle response here. So here's my first flight, and it's a nice day, plenty of power. The model takes off, it climbs right out, elevator's responsive, gyros are working. It's really a pretty smooth flight. Look at the video, the model really zips right along, but it didn't seem that fast when I was flying it. Just a very comfortable airplane to fly, and just good response. One of the nice things about these small, lightweight models, they're so tough with the construction, the lightweight. You just don't worry about damage and coming in for the first landing. Ron's turn now for his first flight, and we are up and away. And Ron's just feeling out the turn with the differential thrust. It's different than what you've normally done, but the model is responsive. It handles well. Just like anything else, practice your flights. And Ron finishes up here with a very nice touchdown. So Ron and I both had a chance to fly the Spitfire, and I was impressed. It absolutely flew fine. Plenty of power with little twin props. The turns are a little bit wide with that, so you just have to plan ahead on your first flights. I wouldn't fly it in a gym or your backyard to understand how that works. But with practice with the throttle, with the elevator, the gyros work absolutely fine for smooth flight. We even got a few landings out of it. I think I'm very happy with this. Ron, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree entirely. It actually flew very, very well. Took me a little to get used to it with the differential thrust because habitually, as I went into a turn, I'd apply a little bit of power, and I found that was actually a bad thing to do because it reduces the differential. So in the turn, backing off the power a little helped tighten the turns up. Flew very well, very smooth, very nice. I was happy with it.
Yeah, no, it's a nice airplane. And also, as I mentioned in the shop, keep the landing gear on. That is protection against knocking off these props, which you really don't want to do. But overall, a fun little model just to charge up, throw in your trunk, and take out and fly. And the gyros really help a lot, even with a little bit of wind today.